Hey, it's Jen, and I'm talking about something that is so important. It's self care. And I think it's so important that I'm not only going to talk 1 week about it, I'm going to talk 6 weeks about it. So, for the next 6 weeks, look forward to the self care series. Don't miss any. They're all going to build on each other, and we're going to find out what kinds of things are keeping us from taking good care of ourselves. What kind of ways do we show that we're actually doing this, like not treating ourselves as well as we really should be or could be in a healthy way? We're going to talk about the tricky little ways that we disown our own wants and needs and thoughts so that someone else is kind of put in a position of having to take care of us or take responsibility for them. We're going to talk about some of the hidden thoughts that are behind not taking care of ourselves. And we're going to talk about different ways that we can be better givers, like truly good givers without resentment, without guilt, and really excellent receivers. Because sometimes we tend to be a lot better givers than receivers, right? But if we're going to take care of ourselves, we need to improve on being better receivers. Now, what this all adds up to is a really, really good, strong sense of self. When you have a good, strong sense of self, you can give that to your children through your example. So if you want to know the best ways to give your children the ability to take care of themselves, it's to do it. Be a good example. Now, the reason this is so important to believe, like have a good, strong sense of self, is because if we don't believe that we're good enough, that we deserve good care, we are going to need to depend on the approval of others and validation at our own expense. What this looks like is we're going to be people pleasing. We're going to be high achieving, trying to prove that we're good enough if we don't already know that we're good enough already. Now we know that when we took those babies in our arms for the very first time, that they didn't have to do a single thing to be worthy of love. They were valuable already. And all they had done was like been born and pooped and cried. And that's it. That's all they had to do. They didn't even have to do that because they are valuable, inherently valuable. We are too. We are inherently valuable. And when we know this, we take good care of ourselves because we don't need to people please in order to know that we're okay. We don't need to be perfectionists. We don't need to prove anything in order to know that we're enough. We know we're enough already. And when we really take care of things that we value. So let's take care of ourselves so that our children can learn how to take good care of themselves. Because the ultimate goal, right, is that they can go be out in the world and people can tell them, because they will tell them horrible things. They'll give them messages that they aren't important, that they aren't worthy. And eventually they're going to start saying these things in their own minds to themselves. And we want them to have the ability to catch it and know that it's not anything outside of them that makes them valuable. It's not what they can give. And it's not what it will mean about them if they don't give. It's already there. Their value is there. They have a strong sense of self. And we can develop a strong sense of self, but chronic self-denial is not the way to send it. That message, if it's at our own expense and it's not in the best interest of all parties, you included, we're actually sending a message that, my stuff doesn't really matter, or basically, I don't matter. And if we want our kids to go out there and be resistant against the outside feedback that is trying to teach them that they are not worth it, we need to instill a very good example of a strong sense of self. So I'd like you to ask yourself these questions. How would you like your children to know themselves well enough that they don't rely on others to decide them for that? Or decide that for them, How would you like them to be able to make decisions with a genuine, clear conscience, in pure honesty, to give service that is best for them and the community, not just one or the other? How would you like your children to know to their very core that they're enough, valuable, and worth love and excellent care? How would you like them to make strong and responsible decisions without blaming anyone else for their choices? How would you like them to be able to be 100% themselves and know that they are valuable and known by others? How would you like them to be able to develop deep and intimate connections with others? This comes from a strong sense of self. A lack of self-care comes from the opposite. Okay, so do the work yourself, because we don't get more respect from others than we give to ourselves, right? That's the bad news and the good news. We don't get more respect than we give to ourselves. We give ourselves some great respect and care. That's exactly what we can expect in return. You're going to be teaching your children to expect those same things for their lives. All right, this isn't something that we just give our kids. We tell them with our words and then do something different in our lives. Kids, we know, tend to look at how we act and how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. They are watching. And when we don't represent our true thoughts, our true feelings, it's an act of self-betrayal. We're not being true, and it breaks trust with ourselves. We need to be trustworthy with our own selves. Like, you know how you would never miss an appointment with your friend to go out to lunch or to go on that run or that hike, right? Maybe you would, but it would take a lot. How often do we let ourselves down by not showing up when we said we would? Okay, I said that I would, take a break at this time, and yet here we are, up way past midnight. All right. Okay, so this is what you can look forward to. Here's what's coming up. So 1 week, we're going to be talking about how we can increase intimacy and connections with others by developing a strong sense of self. It's the first important relationship. We sometimes start to believe that we can't belong to ourselves and we can't belong to others, but that's not true. When we really, really strongly belong to ourselves, we are free and feel more comfortable being vulnerable and belonging to others. Because we do need others. This isn't a message of anti-dependence. It's a message of independence. So we can teach them how to intimately connect by having a strong sense of self. We're going to learn how to recognize the symptoms of relying on others to determine your value. This is so important. This is where we're people pleasing. These are things where we're doing things or not doing things at our own expense so that someone else won't get angry or upset or annoyed. This is us protecting them by saying it's not a big deal, but we're sending the message, I'm not a big deal. Okay, do we really, really want to teach our children that they are not as important as others? We're not more important than others, but we certainly are just as important as others. And our messages, our actions need to be sending that signal on every level in order for them to get it. Okay, then we're going to start to understand the importance of taking responsibility for our own needs. This is going to be, that code that we had to our parents that we're like, Mom, can we go out with these guys? Like, we're supposed to shake no with our eyeballs or something so that they know to say, no, you can't do that. So that we can say, oh, sorry, my parents said I couldn't, right? We actually do that all the time with our own thoughts and our own feelings. We try to distance ourselves from them because we don't feel comfortable owning them. It's like that embarrassing dog running around the field and we're all like, no, that's not my dog, or that's not my kid. Okay, they're ours, and we need to learn how to take responsibility for them. It's heavy, but it's worth it. But underlying what this means is that we actually believe that we can't handle the discomfort, the guilt, the emotional backlash, and what it's going to mean about us in our own minds, and what other people will make it mean about us if we speak up. All right, so I'm just going to give you just a little teaser. Some of the ways we do this may sound familiar. I don't have time. I don't have money. I can't. I'll ask my husband. Oh, that's just how my job is. I'm too exhausted, overwhelmed, confused. Like, if these are things that are in your vocabulary, I'm going to encourage you to challenge them because they are more than what it feels like. They feel true, but I'm going to tell you right now they're not. and they're often a way of distancing ourselves from our own actual thoughts and wants and needs and feelings and all the things. This gives us a little indicator that we need someone else to legitimize our own needs and wants because we cannot or will not do it on our own. All right. So the other one, we're going to learn how to recognize unhelpful thoughts that keep us from recognizing our own wants and needs. So I'm just going to give you a couple examples. I'll read them off for you real quick. Our own desires are selfish and sinful and lazy. Our desires can't be trusted, so we need someone else to validate them. Self-abnegation is stronger and more virtuous than listening to our own wants and needs. These are the tricky little things that sneak in, sometimes even to our culture and the air we breathe. And I'm going to teach you how to challenge those so that you can teach your children how to challenge them and take responsibility. All right, then we're going to talk about how to take better care of ourselves. What does it actually mean to give? With that, it would not involve resentment or guilt if it was a very willing offering and a true offering out of integrity, because it's an expression of who we are, not a fear of what will be if we don't, or what someone else will think about us. All right, that's not actually an offering made in goodness and integrity. So I'm going to encourage you, do the work first. Whatever you want your kids to learn, figure it out with you so that you can help them troubleshoot it and help guide them along the way. All right, I look forward to seeing you in the next several weeks talking about self-care so that we can take better care of ourselves. We're not running around taking care of someone else so much that they have to turn around and take care of us because we're all exhausted. Let's just take care of ourselves, okay? All right, I'll see you soon.